by talking about The Green Knight from David Lowery, starring Dev Patel. Zach, start us out with this one. What is The Green Knight all about, and what did you think?
Okay, so The Green Knight is the latest film by David Lowery. I've never given thumbs up to a David Lowery film, by the way. He's a director who I admire. I think he's very talented, but his films Pete's Dragon, The Old Man, the Gun, and A Ghost Story didn't really work for me, even though A Ghost Story is one of the most polarizing, strange film experiences I've ever had. I think it is kind of a masterpiece, but I can't give it thumbs up.
You haven't seen Nathan Body Saints?
No, I've never seen that.
Oh, that's his best
sure
movie.
That's good. I'm sure that's good. Anyway, the guy has undeniable talent, and this is an A24 production, so I went in with very high expectations for it. The trailers I thought looked great. It is a, I guess, kind of loose adaptation of a medieval poem called Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Now, Terry was not an English major at Concordia University, RIP, but I was, and I took Dr. Reverend Daniel Lucas Edison Thomas Wright's class on British literature, which I believe Cassie also took, and we actually had to read Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And the first thing I want to say is bravo to David Lowery for making a movie that undergraduate English majors from across the country can now watch and not actually have to read the poem and sound intelligent in class discussing, because this would have been very helpful circa 2005 for me. Anyway, The Green Knight tells the story in Arthurian times of a knight-ish, I think, named Gawain, although in this movie I think his name is Garwin. He's played by Dev Patel. And I'm calling him a knight-ish because he's not really a knight. He's the nephew of King Arthur, but at the beginning of the movie, he's just kind of this like guy who like hangs around. He's living with his parents, and he's sort of a, I don't know, he's kind of slovenly. He's kind of he's sort of immature in a way. Maybe he's meant to be like a medieval reflection of 20-ish males in the 21st century. I don't know. Anyway, at the beginning of the movie, he is summoned by his uncle, King Arthur, and King Arthur really likes him. He goes on Christmas Day to the Round Table, and they are all befriended, or at least maybe encountering the Green Knight, who comes in and challenges any knight in Arthur's Round Table to a duel, and whoever strikes a blow on the Green Knight is bequeathed basically to return 1 year later, so that the Green Knight will return exactly the strike that the knight gives, or that the knight gives the Green Knight. Boy, I'm making this sound more confusing than it is. Anyway, the bottom line is, Sir Gawain actually is able to do some damage to the Green Knight. And so basically the movie jumps a year forward, and Sir Gawain knows that he has to go back to confront the Green Knight to receive the same treatment that he gave the Green Knight back in the day. And so the movie is a sort of episodic, kind of rolling adventure that feels, I gotta say, it feels a little Monty Python-like at times, because Sir Gawain encounters all these people along the way. I'm just gonna call him Sir Gawain. That's how I know him, is Sir Gawain. And he encounters, let's see, a fox that talks. He encounters some thieves. He encounters a married couple with some very questionable motives along the way. He encounters this lady who has to recover her head in the water. Some pretty strange, kind of trippy medieval adventures before he ultimately encounters the Green Knight. David Lowery is, I think, a tremendous artist. I mean, you know, I haven't loved his movies, but he's always been keen on production design and detail. This is a movie that is, I've read in interviews, he talked about how actually the pandemic, because it was delayed its release, he actually had more time to edit it. I think one of the flaws in this movie is that David Lowery is the editor. We've seen this before when directors edit their movies. I think this movie gets a little muddled in the middle. I get that there's a lot of adventures that Sir Gawain has, but I feel like the movie kind of slows down. And for a movie about a knight going on an adventure, I feel like it needs a little bit more of like a B12 shot at around, you know, the 70-minute mark or so. But the movie does speed up a little bit more toward the end, and it gets a lot more energy. And the final encounter with the Green Knight is really interesting and tremendous. And I got to say, I kind of knew the direction that I figured the direction that the last 15 minutes was going, because you've seen it in other movies before, but I really liked it. And what I really admire about the movie too is that, look, the Sir Gawain and the Green Knight is from, you know, the 1400s, 1500s, long time ago, maybe even before. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact dates. What I like that David Lowery has done is he's basically transplanted this epic medieval poem and made it tangible and relatable and palatable for modern audiences. These old English medieval poems were about things like chivalry, about chastity, about what a knight should be. How are audiences in the 21st century supposed to understand that? So I really give kudos to David Lowery for making this movie actually really interesting and keeping the spirit of what the poem was trying to generate, and the spirit in which it was written, the spirit in which a lot of these medieval folk poems were written. I think there's kind of two tendencies with Arthurian movies. On the one hand, you can go kind of big budget, bloated production, big production epic, like the King Arthurs of the world and that Guy Ritchie movie in Excalibur. The other direction is Monty Python and the Holy Grail. This is a movie that has a good balance of the two. It's definitely not a comedy, although there are some light moments in it, but it's not over the top and bloated. It feels very personal and also a little bit trippy at times, which I really kind of admire. There are some plot holes in it, but overall, I give this movie 3.5 stars. It was a pretty enjoyable experience. I like when modern filmmakers are able to take relics from the past and make them relevant to audiences today. And certainly with Dev Patel's performance as this knight who really needs to kind of grow up, which is also a theme in a lot of Lowery's work, I think modern audiences find a lot of resonance in this story. So solid movie. Really enjoyed my time watching it.
All right. 3.5 stars from Zach. Todd, how about you?
I might be a tick down from him, but I did enjoy the movie too. I think Dev Patel is awesome in this. Like he has come a long way since Slumdog Millionaire. He looks heroic and almost like godlike. Like that scene where that unbroken shot where he's like on the horse riding toward the camera, it just looks like a portrait, and it's just kind of mesmerizing to just watch him just sit there on the horse. I mean, he's going to be a superhero at some point. He's going to be like the Green Lantern or something. At some point. I mean, he's going to get these offers because his posture and the sound of his voice just sound different than it ever has, and he's awesome. But the craftsmanship of the movie is what I find most impressive. Like the cinematography should be nominated for an Oscar. Like every sequence I feel like is like this extended like video game cutscene kind of thing. It's like leading up to a final battle, like it's a medieval Metal Gear or something like that. But everything looks almost too good to be real, but it's just like gorgeous scenery in Ireland, and it's amazing. And the sound design I feel like also is just terrifying. Like the sound of him like picking up that skull or the beheading sounds, like they are just loud and like just really like brutal sounds. And I could see that being an Oscar thing as well. I like pretty much all the actors. Like Barry Keoghan is just too perfect. I didn't even realize it was him. Like all the actors are just so immersed in their roles that because they believe in the material. But for me, like Arthurian tales and stuff like this is about the least appealing setting for any movie. Like it's similar to like some Shakespeare stuff or like royalty dramas. It's just not really something that I get into. So even the movie and the staging of the movie is really good. I still am just sort of not completely into it. But it's the imagination of David Lowery and his direction that really keeps it flowing, even though it's really just not my thing. But I feel like it went into territory that was almost like Guillermo del Toro-ish, like in the middle sections.
Yeah.
But there was a little bit too much Lighthouse in there as well. I don't know. I mean, I kind of want to watch it again. I mean, I could feel like I could get a little bit more into it now that I know the story. But I mean, I can't really give it higher than 3 stars right now. But I could see it going up over time.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I've got it at 3 stars as well. Thrice approved for the Green Knight.
Hey, there we go.
And yeah, I'm kind of in a similar spot. I thought it was a fascinating story. I had not read it. I didn't really know anything about this story going into it, and it was fun to watch. And it felt kind of like you guys said Monty Python. I thought more like the Odyssey or Cold Mountain or something along those lines, where it's someone's on a journey and now we're going to see the chapter where they're with this person, and then we're going to see the chapter where they're with this person. I think what ties it all together though is the score. I felt like the score just kind of had this hypnotic vibe to it that just pulled you in and just made you just like lose yourself in this story and this journey that he's on. And I thought that was just amazing. Yeah, Dev Patel is great. You say superhero, I want to see him be the next James Bond. That's where I'm at with Dev Patel. I think he could pull it off, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. And I think a movie like this kind of shows the kind of gravitas he can have to pull off something like that. And of all the minor characters, the one that I'll point out, Lady Winifred, who was looking for her head, played by Erin Kellyman, who you guys don't know. She's one of the main characters in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So it's kind of cool to see her pop up in something else. She's really good in that show, and she was good in just a real small part here. But yeah, 3 stars for me.
Yeah, I think the only reason I'm a little higher on this movie is I think this was a very difficult and ambitious project. And at this point, when I watch newer movies, I tend to give a filmmaker more credit, even if the final product isn't perfect. And I agree with Todd's comment that this movie probably deserves a second viewing because there was a lot of stuff that went over my head too. But just the scale and the scope and the audacity to translate something that old into something that Lowery thought audiences would find powerful and, you know, intriguing and resonant. I give props to the guy. I mean, his next movie is going to be Peter Pan, right? I mean, how easy a sell is that to the studio producer? Let's make another freaking Peter Pan movie. Now,
well, he did Pete's Dragon, and then that was a big successful movie too. So,
I mean, listen, I don't want to see another Peter Pan movie. I want to see a movie that has the audacity to be something different, something unique. And this movie feels very lived in, and I feel like it's almost like a Barry Lyndon for the 2020s. Like, it's a movie that I think might go misunderstood for a while, but from a cinematic standpoint is really spectacular, and I think will age well with time.
Well, and you know the source material too, and we don't. So that might be why you have a little bit more appreciation for the feat that was done here.
I mean, I pretended I knew the source material, 16 years ago. I wouldn't call myself an expert at it.
You have some familiarity with.
I believe I got an A- in that class, but it was not for my Sir Gawain contributions to that conversation.
How far would you have been downgraded if Dr. Wright heard you call him Garwin instead of Gawain?
Hey, that's David Lowery. They chose to go with Garwin. I don't know. Garwin to me sounds like a GPS service or something. I don't know.
I think
that's what I thought the whole time too.
Yeah.
That's just their accents, I think.
Yeah, I think it was. All right. So that's The Green Knight, thrice approved. It is still in theaters. Check it out while you can.